hey, what's up, guys? So no one understands me. It's the thing that you hear sometimes kind of thrown around, like a little idea or thought throughout like school, throughout jobs, throughout friendships, all this stuff, like no one understands me. I myself have probably said it to myself or family or something like that at least a few hundred times in the past decade. So it's a pretty common thing for people that kind of feel like the odd one out, the black sheep of whatever they're a part of. And in my experiences throughout schooling and stuff like that, getting bullied, getting all this stuff, it's easy to fall into this camp where you're like, oh, no one understands me, all this stuff. And in some ways it might be true. There might be ways where, yeah, true, like people don't kind of get it. And so there's that gap of understanding that makes it tough to develop these strong connections. Like it's obvious when people understand you versus when they don't. But I find it a lot of times it's easy to blend a bunch of people in this like idea that, oh, they don't understand me. And so you kind of write them off the page before actually giving them the opportunity to see if there's anything there, like in friendship, relationship, any of that stuff. And there's been a lot of times where I'll be too quick to write someone off or do something or this or that. Maybe because of high standards, maybe because of this, like my relationship with my dad in the years before he passed, the entire time was like fantastic. It was like really good, strong connection. And I think in my case, I held everyone to the standard of, oh, like I just want to have connection like that. And in my entire life, there's only been one other person that's done that for me. And that person is someone I fell in love with. And so outside of that, there's no competition there. So I've had to over time learn to, hey, there's a lot of amazing people out there. And sure, they might be that or not, they might be this or that, whatever the heck, but they can still be friends, or they can still be this, or they can still be that, or you can still like connect with family, connect with all this stuff. And I don't think it's something that we should overlook and pretend. It helps so much when you're able to connect with people, even if it's little by little, even if it's like that, because you'll be so surprised what you can do and how you could feel. And it feels a lot less isolating and like you're by yourself and all that stuff when you have those connections, even if it's the littlest bit. And it sounds really easy. It sounds really easy to just like give people a chance or do this or do that. But when you're not like 100% feeling something, or when you're not this or you're not that or you're not used to it, it's tough to kind of take that whatever and like even as simple as like go to this thing or show like hang out with this person, oh like call this person, do this, do that, for like people that you are not like whatever with. It's just by doing a little thing, even if it messed up, like at least you did it, at least you extended that olive branch and seeing if it could happen. I made the mistake a lot of times throughout schooling is that there were some bad apples, I guess you say, that I've been around. And so what I did is I sometimes associated those bad apples with a lot more people, and it kind of caused me to be closed off sometimes. And maybe that was a little bit of my fault, but over time, especially going into college, I started to kind of lessen and just be open to like just meeting people and stuff, and probably not as open as I should have been. Looking back, like there's opportunities that I should have done, like maybe I should have done more of this, done more of that, maybe I should have made the effort more in certain circumstances, but I was able to kind of develop more friendships and grow a bigger whatever just by being open. And so being open is kind of the key to help finding understanding. And sometimes what I've learned is that a lack of understanding from the people around you, even if you have good friends, even if you have this and stuff, sometimes that lack of understanding or like all that stuff is important in defining your own path and you defining your own journey, because sometimes you need to be quote unquote misunderstood, or you need to feel like people don't understand you in order to develop and kind of grow in ways in order to find that understanding in other things. And that might sound like confusing, and I'm still on this journey of trying to understand a lot of this stuff, but what's helped me get to more peace and have less anxiety and stress and all that stuff is by doing what feels right and what jives with me. And doing that has made it a lot easier for me to like kind of go about this like understanding loophole of, okay, like sure, there might be all this stuff going on with people and I may not feel understood in certain circumstances, but maybe that's a good thing and maybe I need that because I made the effort, done this, done that, and it's still not there. So maybe at a certain point you just kind of need to be. But then again, it's like there's two-way battle of not wanting to be too lone wolf and too like like all this stuff and close people off, but also do the things to get to a point where you're in the place that you should be, where you're feeling right and all this stuff, and kind of getting in that spot where ultimately life is kind of pushing you, if that makes any sense. But also don't let it bog you down. If you feel like alone, feel like all this stuff, like I take a time to like reevaluate and kind of think about everything, like write stuff down, like really be conscientious of the place you are at and think about, okay, am I doing this for the right reasons, or am I just doing this just because I want to be this, or I'm trying to be this, or I see that and I want to do that? Is it like really authentic to yourself, or are you just doing it. There's been times where I've probably closed myself off or not gone to this thing or not done this thing when I could have done it or I should have done it just because I was trying to do this or trying to be this. And it's like, it doesn't do you any good. Ultimately, with understanding all this stuff, it's about doing what feels right for yourself. And a lot of times feeling right with yourself will involve taking those leaps of faith, doing those little things that make you uncomfortable when it comes to developing friendships, meeting new people, or this and that. And sometimes it won't work out. Sometimes there might be stuff and you're like, oh, I don't really feel that or whatever. But then other times it will work out and you develop new friends, or you're like, oh, I really get along with this or this or that. It's all about just making the effort. Because if you make the effort and it's still like you still feel misunderstood, still feel all this stuff, there's probably some validity to that. And you probably need to learn and grow in your own place. And for me, it was own walk with God, like kind of going through and like defining who I really am instead of like being an amalgamation of all the people around me, like actually having my own identity in who I am. So maybe for you, being misunderstood allows you to kind of get that path of understanding who you really are. And that path could be months, it could be years, it could be decades, it could be weeks. You could just be needing to learn some things that you can't if you're in this situation or this or that. It sounds a lot more complicated than it really is. All it really is just taking these steps day by day and doing what feels right, even if that feels right is a little uncomfortable. And even if you gotta like do things that that you're not necessarily like used to in order to kind of get to that spot. For me, I think a lot of times it was like talking to a person in class that I was like, no one's really talking, I'll just talk to this person, or oh, like working up the courage to like ask such and such, or like, you know what, I'm gonna go to this thing tonight instead of just sitting in my room and just making videos. All it takes that little bit, and then you ultimately see like it's not that big a deal. Like I kind of did it, and may have worked out, may not, but at least I tried. Because ultimately, when you have that like little bug in your thing, and you have that like little shit, there's likely a good reason to it. Because I believe it. I don't know if you do, but I think everything happens for a reason. So if there's that sprinkling of like I should do that, or I don't know, and stuff like that, I'm sure there's something to it. So you might as well see it. Might as well try it. And I made the mistake of not trying, and let me tell you, it's just not worth it not to try. You might as well try and just cover all the bases. At least cover all the bases and do all the stuff that you can think of that like somewhat makes sense before writing everyone off or being like, oh, I'm misunderstood, or oh this and all this. At least do stuff and like be open and stuff like that before figuring stuff out, because you never know. You never know what can happen. You never know what this friendship could be. You never know if, hey, this person and me, we get along and we do this or do this or that. What happens is sometimes you build friendships, sometimes you build like little things, and then it like reoccurs in the future. And it was just by planting a little seed of like showing up to this or doing that and whatever, stuff like that, and getting over that hump and doing that, even if it seemed like nothing at a time, it's about doing that. We all want to be something, we all want to do stuff, and it's just tough to do it alone. Like, no one can really go through the process of understanding themselves and finding their place in the world by themselves. It takes a lot of good people around you, so don't close off, don't whatever, like be open and just value the people around you, value that time, and take it as it comes, because a lot of stuff will happen, and the more you kind of go through it with a good perspective and you got that confidence, got that wherewithal to just kind of go with the flow, it'll be really cool. So hopefully this helped. You can check out the video, and have a nice day.